It was described as some as the AFL's death sentence contract, a contract with no end date that could last forever or end within a few months. Justin Longmuir is going into a critical 2025, and to ease some of the pressure on him and the possible outside noise, he and the club agreed to an ongoing employment agreement. On face value, it protects Longmuir financially more than a lot of the other AFL coaches, which we will get to after, but clearly he has no long-term security in his role, and the arrangement means he will need to prove he is the right man for the Freo job every single year. We have never seen a coaching contract like this one before. But the big catch is, every coach basically lives in this contract realm. A 5-year deal on paper looks good, but behind that number could be a 6-month payment termination clause. Really, no AFL coach has guaranteed security no matter how long their contract is. Now, according to Ryan Daniels in the West Australian, Longmuir in this new deal does have a 12-month payment if he is sacked, which is pretty solid compared to the rest of the competition. If this was activated and he was fired, it would hit Fremantle's soft cap hard, and this clause in itself shows Fremantle do believe in Longmuir. It's one of the benefits to Longmuir, who it was revealed was the one to lead discussions on this form of a contract. Not to mention the fact this deal was in large part instigated by Longmuir through lengthy conversations with club hierarchy over the course of 12 to 18 months. To say he leads Fremantle to their first premiership in 2025, well then this arrangement would see him gain so much power. Now the chances of them winning the flag are low with basically every other club, but if he does, he would certainly bargain for more money and a longer payout clause for the future. Longmuir is gambling on himself and going all in. The reality of the contract is it really isn't any different to the other 17. The basic premise of having to perform right now exists, and Longmuir compared to others might actually have a better payout if the worst ends up eventuating. But he is under fire from a few angles. Just one finals appearance in his 5 years coaching the Dockers, and a win rate of 50.48%. Not terrible numbers, but not mind-blowing. He is in focus from some of the media. The contract is only one small part of a number of concerns, whether real or not, that high-profile people and some Fremantle fans have with Longmuir. Kane Cornes and SEN said, "This has been spun as a way to give Justin some security, but I don't see it that way at all. I think this is almost a death sentence for him unless something extraordinary happens where he has success. But if things get off to a poor start, and if they underachieve where their list is at, this is just an easy way for the club to move him on. It's a much easier way than having to extend his contract now by at least 2 years beyond this one." His SEN co-host and Fox Footy presenter David King has been another very vocal critic of Longmuir for a couple seasons now. From having a go at him for the way Freo played their weird practice game against a made-up Indigenous All-Stars team, suggesting Freo change the way they move the ball out of defence, and all round dismissing the Dockers as a serious finals team due to the way they play. Cornes and King have been two of the most vocal critics, but many others, especially in WA, have followed on. Now as a fan, it's easy to say why don't Fremantle just ignore potential media noise about Longmuir if they believe in him, but in reality, AFL clubs do pay attention to what the media says and writes. Longmuir himself has never backed down. In his latest interview with the West Australian, Longmuir went on to dismiss a range of myths he believes have been spread about him and the way his team plays. The Dockers have ranked in the top 6 for defence in 3 of Longmuir's 5 seasons, but have never been higher than 10th for attack. Those stats have prompted criticism that Longmuir's game plan is too defensive. He disagrees. Ball movement is an interesting concept, and it's hard to explain by ball movement. But where you win the ball back is critical to how you move the ball. If you win the ball back on your last line, and you've got 18 defenders against a good team to get past, it's hard just to go handball chain, run and gun through that. Longmuir further went on to dismiss the claim his side is a mark and kick team that plays at a slow pace, noting their proficiency and want to move the ball by hand. When people analyse our game, I think they're pretty quick to go to kick mark. Then they leave out the fact that we've been, if not the highest handballing team in the last 4 years, probably top 2 or 3. And if I was a coach who told our players we need to find a mark, kick the ball and get our defence set, you wouldn't see those handball numbers. You just wouldn't. In line with his new contract, this interview perfectly shows that Longmuir is backing himself and his team to do great things in 2025. And he does have a lot of weapons at his disposal. Shai Bolton coming in is a huge plus, and a rejuvenated and fit Michael Walters creates a dangerous pairing. Both were on full show in their practice game against Melbourne. Josh Tracy looks like the Matthew Pavlich replacement the club has needed for nearly a decade, and Jai Amiss is no slouch. It's a great forward half group that has youth, plays in their prime and experience. Hayden Young boomed last year on ball to give the Dockers that elite kick, and we all know how good Sarong and Brayshaw are. And as mentioned before, the defence of Fremantle under Longmuir has never been a problem, and it's hard to see that being the case in 2025. Just remember, at the end of round 20 in 2024, Fremantle were third and had won 4 out of their last 5 games. Their starting draw is a great test. Geelong at GMHBA, Sydney at Optus, the first Western Derby, and the Bulldogs at home. It's a month that should get a couple of wins and set them up against a preliminary final team in Geelong and grand finalists in Sydney to test how they play against 2 of the better sides in the early part of the season. The first month is not the be-all and end-all, but a good litmus test to see where Fremantle could potentially go. There is optimism around Fremantle, but also some trepidation. It feels like you just can't trust the Dockers yet. Maybe some of that is to do with Longmuir and his new contract, which without looking into detail, doesn't show great long-term confidence in him. The reality is, he is like his other 17 counterparts. He's always under pressure to perform, but perhaps in 2025, he's got the best resources in front of him that he has had in his time coaching the Fremantle Football Club.